live. I'm sorry, y'all. I had to get off and go work. I do have another job, but this is going to be a continuance of my earlier live. The earlier live is titled The Part 1. I only talked about Jasmine Crocket and the Dems leaving the Texas state legislature, fleeing and going into hiding in Illinois. So I talked about that in the video now titled Jasmine Crocket and Greg Abbott Face Off. For those of y'all who don't know what's going on, basically the Republicans are trying to redistrict. You know, some would call it gerrymandering. We'll call it gerrymandering. We'll say that. They're trying to redistrict in Texas. And basically what would happen is Jasmine Crocket would lose her seat. She wouldn't be, with the new district lines that are being drawn, she wouldn't be able to win a re-election, right? Now, I went through the whole history of that district and the demographics of the district. She's in Texas District 30. And I'm very knowledgeable about this because I lived in her district for quite some time. Not only did I live in her district, I taught in that district. There is a reason why somebody like Jasmine Crocket would get elected to Congress, and you need only to go visit there to understand. You need only be a teacher there to understand the issues and the inability for people to properly prioritize there. Yeah, just go see what it's like. Anyway, but if you want to know all about that, check out that video. I'll link it in the description box after this live. No ID. Jasmine's one of the few actually speaking facts and sense into what's really going on in front of our eyes. No, Jasmine Crocket, all she does, I've never seen her utter an intelligent thought. I've never seen her utter an intelligent thought, in my opinion. I've never seen her speak factual information. Marjorie Taylor Greene is constantly handing her behind to her every time they get into it. Yeah, I know that viral clip went around of her like calling Marjorie Taylor Greene a botched blonde or something like that. But in terms of policy, like Marjorie Taylor Greene has been telling Jasmine Crocket to debate her for a very long time, including during that argument, and she won't take her up on it because she knows when it comes to actually talking about data and facts, she's not going to be able to do that. Also, a lot of the same things that she criticizes the Republicans for, the Democrats do as well, and they do it worse. They do it to the max, right? So no, I wouldn't agree with that statement. I'm not sure why the vibration here feels off when stuff is happening in plain sight. Are you talking about me? I'm conceding the gerrymandering. I'm not saying it's right. I personally don't believe in gerrymandering. In a perfect world, we wouldn't have gerrymandering. The districts would be drawn fairly. But like, let's be clear. In all these states, they are gerrymandering, including in Illinois, where the Texas Democrats fled to. They are the worst for gerrymandering. So it's like both sides are cheating. Both sides are cheating and calling each other cheaters. Both sides are cheating and calling each other cheaters. So what are we to do here? You know, I'm not trying to be mean, but that's just fact. Hi, Mike Check Mag. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the video that I was reviewing in the previous live that I did today. So I apologize if you're just now coming on this video and it seems like I'm starting in the middle of it, but you know, I got to do what I got to do. I told you I was going to come back and finish. So again, this is LV Nation's channel that I am reacting to his video. Jasmine Crocket suffers mental breakdown.
And they simply wouldn't listen.
This smells like a vacation. Texas is hot in August, high 90s all week. With humidity, it feels like 100. So they hop on a plane and check into a Hyatt in Chicago. We were in Chicago last August for the convention. It is beautiful. Nice breeze comes off the lake. They're not working. They're just sitting around doing CNN hits. One guy says he's...
I mean, that's what it seems like to me. If you leave your, first of all, I said this in the last life, I'll say it again. You are elected to the Texas state legislature to vote, right? And it doesn't matter if the vote is not going to go your way. You are obligated to cast a vote. Leaving and saying that we are going to obstruct that process is complete disrespect to the Texans who voted for all the other representatives who are going to vote in their favor. And let's be clear, Texas is very, very red. Very red. Even in places like Dallas, I've told y'all before, there's a difference between a Texas liberal and a California liberal. Okay, you are way more likely to find Texas liberals who, like, on certain cultural things, they're like, that's crazy. For example, the trans issue. Most Texas liberals are not going for all that extra foolishness. I'm just being honest. And then in a place like Dallas that goes blue, in the areas where the people have money, like Lakewood and Highland Park, you best believe every election cycle they have their vote Republican signs out. Yeah.
The victim.
As a state representative, I get paid about $600 a month before taxes. And so that's not much to live off of. And so many of my colleagues, including myself, we have day jobs that help us pay the bills. And by breaking quorum, we are leaving those day jobs behind. We are sacrificing the income that we need to make ends meet.
Now, the reason why they have day jobs is because they're not in session all year round.
Like Kanye said, how are you going to be mad on vacation? Over 50 Democrats quit their jobs, left their friends, voters, family behind to go glamping at Fort JB-Back. They're acting like they were drafted.
This is a war.
I mean, I feel like that should be job abandonment. For those of y'all who are not from Texas, the labor laws are that Texas is an at-will state. The business can fire you for anything. They really don't have to give a reason, although, you know, most of the time they will. But, like, it's an at-will state. Why should that be any different for the Texas legislature? You have a very important job to do, and you decided you just weren't going to do it. You just weren't going to show up for work that day. All under the guise that you're fighting for the freedom of Texans, when the majority of Texans are Republicans. So what are you talking about?
We are at war. And that's why the gloves are off. And I say, bring it on.
Texas is redistricting,
you
so Democrats might.
You brought it on with the wrong one, because Ken Paxton and Greg Abbott are on y'all like white on rice. You know, you picked the wrong duo to toy with, to play chicken with. I think she's going to eat those words.
Lose a few congressional seats. Doesn't sound like war to me. Shooting Trump and arresting him, that was a lot more warlike. And did Trump run away? No. If Texas is a war zone, why are Democrats abandoning their brothers and sisters?
Hello.
Texas isn't actually a war zone. Democrats just ran out of the state house and won't do their jobs. So now no one is.
Here's the thing. This is going to happen. The redistricting is going to happen. All they are doing is delaying. But best believe the Texas legislature will have its way, one way or the other. So this is just theatrics. This is drama. And it's childish. The adult thing to do would go in and cast your vote against the redistricting and make a statement opposing it publicly, so people can know that you fought on behalf of your constituents.
In the state house can do their job. Texas Governor Greg Abbott's been riding their bumpers, told them to get back to work or else.
The reports are these legislators have been they sought money and they offered money to skip the vote, to leave the legislature, to take a legislative act. That would be bribery. They face a possibility facing bribery charges, which is a second-degree felony in the state of Texas. There's one way to cure that. And that is if they get back to the state of Texas and make quorum today at a hearing that we have at 3 o'clock.
Democrats had until 3 to show, and they didn't.
Okay, so one thing y'all need to know about Greg Abbott in the state of Texas is when he says he's going to do something, it's as good as done. He stands on business. So you best believe that him and Kim Paxton are going to pursue these charges. So I don't know who is advising these people, but they were ill-advised.
So Governor Abbott's sending out a posse to arrest them for dereliction of duty and drag them back to the Capitol. They told us no one is above the law. And if they resist, the posse is going to hand them to Homan, and they'll wind up in El Salvador with the Maryland dad.
Now, I'm not sure how that's going to work because this is a state issue. You know, this is not necessarily a federal offense. So I'm not sure. And, you know, they went to Illinois, which is a sanctuary city. I know this is different from illegal immigration. These are not illegal immigrants or fugitives, but or federal fugitives. So I don't know how that's going to work. I'm not sure that there is a legal path forward for Greg Abbott to send anybody to Illinois to round these people up. And I highly doubt that the local authorities will work with them to do that. Somebody was saying he can send Tom Homan. Yeah, but he doesn't, like, he has nothing to do with that. Like, again, this is not an issue of immigration. So I don't know. But here's the thing. They all have homes in Texas. So you got to come home. You got to set foot in Texas. And I don't know if they have the money to bankroll being a fugitive in another state for a long period of time. Maybe some do, maybe some don't. We shall see.
Jasmine Crocket, who fled D.C. during the pandemic with a cohort of fleabaggers because Republicans were about to pass voter ID, may actually lose her seat to redistricting.
Yeah, she's cut.
And guess who she blames?
Because the Supreme Court has paved the way for half the stuff that we see that's going on. Listen, Donald Trump is a piece of shit. Okay, we know that. Yes, yes. He is. He is. He is.
A part of me feels what's good for the goose is good for the gander. But I'd also like to keep Crockett in Congress because she's such a delicious foil. And so what if Texas is redistricting? So what? Their state constitution gives them the legal right to.
Exactly. And none of this is illegal. They are making it seem like it is illegal.
There can be a moral argument made that just because it's legal doesn't mean that it's right. And again, I said this before, I'll say it again. I don't agree with gerrymandering. I don't. But both sides are doing it in their respective states. Everybody wants to cheat and then call people out for cheating. But honestly and truly, the way that Jasmine Crockett's district, Texas District 30, is drawn is weird to begin with. Because, like, again, I showed y'all the map. It's all, I can pull it up again. I'll pull it up again for my people who didn't catch the last live. Like, it's clearly racially drawn. Like, that district is without a doubt racially drawn. Again, I lived in that district and I worked in that district. It is predominantly, give me 1 second. It is predominantly Hispanic and Black, right? And you have a mix of, like, okay, it's like Oak Cliff area. That is like the hood. That's where, like, the lower income Hispanics and Blacks live. And then you have, like, the southern suburbs of that area, which would be Lancaster, DeSoto, Cedar Hill. It's a clearly racially drawn district, is what I'm trying to say, which I don't see how that's legal. I honestly don't. And if you are a minority who lives in that that district and you happen to be conservative or independent leaning, your voice does not matter in terms of who you choose for a representative, because they tend to vote Democrat. Like, so, I mean, to me, that district is not fairly drawn to begin with. It's odd. I feel like you have too many areas thrown into one district. Hold on. Now, it is clear to me that this is an effort to get those like Jasmine Crocket out of Congress. Here we go. Okay, let me share this. Let me make sure y'all can see it. Let me make myself small and make this map big. Okay. So, I hope y'all can see this. Ooh, here we go. Okay. So, this is a map of Dallas. So this whole gray area, that is District 30. And like that might seem like normally drawn. If you didn't know the area and the demographic, that's like, oh, okay, that's normal. But like, no, because again, this is all Black people on this side of town. Black people and Hispanics, that's it. When you go further up to like Mesquite, I'd even say Balch Springs, a little bit further north, it starts getting more white. Grand Prairie, it's a little bit more mixed. You start getting more white people. The further north that you go, it's more mixed. But like, this is nothing but Black people. And it's like, I don't know. You have to go there to understand what I'm saying. It's like they decided we're going to throw the Black side of town all into one district. So I don't like it. And let me tell you, the education sucks. It doesn't matter if you live in the suburban part of that district or in the hood. Education is not prioritized there. And it doesn't have anything to do with federal funding. Matter of fact, Lancaster, if y'all see at the bottom, I don't know if you can see it. There's an area called Lancaster. That superintendent got investigated for money laundering. In DeSoto, which is across the freeway, again, this is another suburban city in that district. Their superintendent got caught money laundering during COVID. As a matter of fact, they paid off an entire mansion and didn't go to jail. That school district was still trying to recover from that. But like, these are areas where you will see the Black people in this area and the superintendents always talking about how there's a lack of federal funding, bashing people for presenting the idea of defunding the Department of Education, but y'all money launder. You're not even using the money for what you're supposed to be using it for. You want to all constantly talk about racism. Again, I know I worked in this area. I was a teacher in this area. They will constantly put it into Black children's mind that the system is against them and talk about racism and how, affirmative. I remember there was a conversation about affirmative action being taken away. And I'm like, but y'all, you're firing teachers and you have ghost jobs for your flunkies. You're cutting school programs, but you have jobs, high-paying jobs for your flunkies, but yet white people are the problem. Make it make sense. Dems Redistrict, some GOP does it a lot. Dems Redistrict a lot. It mainly helps incumbents in both parties. You'll never run against the other party. At least there's majority Black district, and how should it be drawn then? I feel like, first of all, I feel like these should be, this should be, because this is a really big area, right? I feel like it should at least be split into two areas. I feel like you could include some more of this northern area up there. I wish I could like have a pen. I feel like you could include some more of these, like you could break it up into two districts and include some more of the northern area. But I mean, honestly and truly, I don't like it, again, because if you are a Black person, you basically have to move out of those districts because they're all going to vote. They're going to vote Democrat, period. And then that's how you get somebody as embarrassing as Jasmine Crocket in office. I don't pay attention to Jay Prince, honestly. Okay, so let's continue. I really don't want to hear anything that the Democrats have to say. And part of the reason why I don't want to hear what they have to say about voter rights and gerrymandering is because in 2016, they stole the nomination from Bernie Sanders. They did it again in 2020. And then they did it even worse the third time when they didn't even allow Democrat voters the decency of a primary vote. You know, they ran Joe Biden in 2020 when we could clearly see that he had dementia. I remember pointing that out several times and being told I'm not a doctor and I'm wrong for saying that. So they ran a patient with dementia, and I have empathy and compassion. He should have never been allowed in office. They ran a dementia patient, put him in office for 4 years. We don't know who was really running the country that last 4 years. And then on top of that, they had the audacity to stifle all of his opponents during the 2024 primary, people like RFK and Marianne Williamson. And then they waited till the 11th hour to swap Joe Biden out with Kamala Harris when that was the plan to begin with. So they didn't even offer Democrats the decency of choosing their own candidate. And people can say, oh, well, she was the vice president. So, you know, technically they did. That's not how that works. That's not how it works. For a new and upcoming election, that's not how that goes, boo. The vice president steps in the event of a president being incapacitated or passing away during their term, not for a new election. That's not how the law works, boo. And I didn't see these same Democrats like Jasmine Crocket speaking up again for voter rights then. They immediately came out in support of Kamala Harris and kept their anger directed at Donald Trump. So I don't want to hear it. Do you think that Dems are wrong all the time? No. And I think if you've listened to me long enough, I have talked about things that they are right on. They are wrong a lot of times. And GOP is right all the time. No, I think, Jamal, I think that you're like making an effort to oversimplify what I'm saying. Again, I used to be a part of the Democrat Party. So somebody like me, even more than a Republican, knows their shortcomings in the games that they try to play. So no, and I give my reasons. I give very valid reasons as to why I think what I think. I don't get on here and just say this group bad, this group good. So, you know, if you listen to me and you get the feeling that the Democrats are very corrupt, it's because they are. It's just plain and simple. I'm not getting on here lying. And when I have criticisms of the Republicans, I have in several videos criticized what the Republicans have done. But here's the thing. At least with the Republicans, I know what I'm getting. At the very least, the Republicans, even though they didn't like Donald Trump, they allowed him to run. They gave him a fair shot. They let the people make the decision. Obama wanted an open primary, but Joe got pissed and waited till the 11th hour purposefully to pass the baton to Kamala. Joe Biden can't make those type of decisions. He has dementia. And again, this is about the establishment in general, because this wasn't just Joe Biden. You had news networks like MSNBC that would not allow the opposition on to make their case. They automatically went into sabotage mode against all of these candidates. So it's not just Joe Biden. It's not just about Joe Biden. It's not just about Obama. It's not just about Kamala Harris. The Democrat establishment in general, it does not support, they are not truly in support of voter rights. They are not. And then when Republicans ask for something as simple as you bring your ID to vote, then they want to point the fingers and be like, oh, they're trying to stifle the vote. When it's like, it's 2025, you can order your ID online. And you're making the same arguments that people were making in 1960. If you can't get your hands on your state ID, something is wrong with you. You don't need to vote. The only reason why Jasmine Crocket is doing as good as she does is because she serves a constituency that believes in people shucking and jiving and not seeing results. Again, the education in her district is terrible. Pothole riddled streets. And a lot of this is more has to do with local municipality stuff. But the children in her district cannot read while these school districts beg and beg for more money. The parents in that school district, again, a lot of the parents in that district, again, in Cedar Hill, Lancaster, DeSoto, college educated. These are college educated Black people. And they don't care whether or not their children can read or write. Matter of fact, they're going to cuss you, the teacher, out for calling them and saying, your child is skipping. They're not paying attention in class. They're on their cell phone. They will literally cuss you out for taking their kid's cell phone because the kid won't stay off the cell phone. The parents in her district will pay for a pair of $800 Balenciagas and a bust down 30-inch wig for their child. And they spend thousands of dollars on prom. They spend thousands of dollars on prom like as if it's a wedding, all without actually promoting marriage. And then they tell, and then they'll spend thousands of dollars on prom for their children who are not even going to college or don't have some type of like trade lined up or anything. Again, this is in a suburban area. College educated, well-paid Black people who voted for Jasmine Crocket, but will blame Republicans in Texas and white people all day about their problems. You can't run that game on me, boo. I saw it. I lived it. Taught there. Her district and the mentality in that district and what goes on in the priorities, they're all the way jacked up. So I'm hearing that doesn't need to be in Congress. I'm sorry. So I'm here for her potentially getting kicked out of Congress. And I agree, she's done. I don't see a path forward for you, girl. Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't even sharing that video anymore. Now I look crazy. Anyway, hold on. Let me share it. Now I look slow. I still had this map up.
Luke, what's going on over there?
I'm doing the work. I'm doing everything.
I thought I was sharing this video.
Has paved the way for half the stuff that we
During the pandemic with a cohort of fleabaggers because Republicans were about to pass voter ID, may actually lose her seat to redistricting.
Yeah, she's cooked.
And guess who she blames?
because the Supreme Court has paved the way for half the stuff that we see that's going on. Listen, Donald Trump is a piece of okay, we know that. Yes, yes, he is. He is. He is.
A part of me feels what's good for the goose is good for the gander. But I'd also like to keep Crocket in Congress because she's such a delicious foil. And so what if Texas is...
So in her district, so you're asking Jamal, so these are uppity or ghetto black people or bougie ghetto black people, both. So if you go like to the north of that district, there's going to be, it's actually in the city of Dallas, right? So it's in the city, it's the Dallas address, Oak Cliff. And this is where your poor blacks lives, and this is where your Hispanic lives. So that district is also heavily Hispanic as well. So these are people that are majority not college educated, lower income, and the Hispanics there tend to be more business owners. Honestly and truly, I would say, had it not been for illegal immigration, and a lot of the Hispanics in those communities are either illegal immigrants or they have several family members or a grandparent or parents that are illegal immigrants. Like that's a huge, and I also like lived in that area too before. So a lot of that population will vote for somebody like Jasmine Crocket solely for immigration, not for cultural reasons at all, right? And then when you go further south to Lancaster, DeSoto, Duncanville, that is where you get your college educated blacks, which is the majority of that district, right? Because that part, Lancaster, DeSoto, Cedar Hill, even some areas of Grand Prairie, that is where you get your higher income black people. But they don't, their children don't behave or read better or get any more, like their parents don't put any more resources into their education than the kids who live in the poor area of Oak Cliff. As a matter of fact, I found that their children in the suburbs behave a lot worse. So my point is they have bigger fish to fry.
Is redistricting. So what? Their state constitution gives them the legal right to.
Exactly. And none of this is illegal. They are making it seem like it is illegal. She is melting down and blaming Trump as if any of this was illegal, as if any of this has never been done by them and their party. And now they're getting a taste of their own medicine, and now they're the ones losing it. Well, I get it. It's because they're about to lose Jasmine Crocket, and Jasmine Crocket is cooked. She's on the news basically crying about the fact that the poll numbers and the numbers are so low. There's just no way to win now. She literally, she's just cooked. And this was supposed to be the next big Democrat to come out and, keep winning and, obviously keep killing it. And now with this, gerrymandering and this redistricting, she's done. And her time in Congress has officially come to an end. There's just no winning now. Yeah. Because people in where she got redistricted to are not going to vote.
Yeah, no. Yeah, there's nowhere else in that area where she can run to. There's not. And like I said, Dallas is like considered a liberal city, but the way the districts are drawn, no, there's no way she would even. If anything, even if there was a district where she could get re-elected in as a Democrat, it wouldn't be her. Like they wouldn't vote for somebody that ghetto. Do y'all understand? It would have to be somebody a little bit more tamed, with a little bit more of a moderate view. They would never vote for a Jasmine Crocket to represent them. Only the Black Democrats that live in the southwestern sector would have elected Jasmine Crocket. I'm just being honest. But she cannot go into the Democrat districts where it's like a majority white or Hispanic or Jewish or a lot of age. She can't go in those places and win because they're not having her as a representation for them. No, they're not doing it. Okay, let's continue. Now we're gonna go back. I started reacting to this video that Nick Shirley did about the situation that's going on in the United Kingdom. And for those of y'all who don't know, if y'all thought the immigration situation in the United States got bad during the Biden-Harris administration, man, they're going through it over there in the UK. And y'all have to remember, like, the UK is like an island. It's a lot smaller than the United States. And they've taken in, I think over the last few years, I would say it's over 1 million immigrants. Now, here's the difference. Technically speaking, the immigrants that are coming into Great Britain are legal because their government is just letting anybody who pulls up on a boat enter and claim asylum. Right. And that's kind of what the Biden-Harris administration was trying to do. And in some instances, that's what they did. And that's why the Trump administration and Tom Homan and all of them are rolling back certain temporary protective statuses because it was all game. It was all game. So I'm going to go back a little bit just so that y'all can have context for what's going on. But I will say this, like, that situation is only getting worse. And I think if the government doesn't get a handle on it, that it's going to get very bad, you know?
2 million last year. And there's a house.
Let me go back.
Sleeping rough, homeless.
I just built the most gorgeous online store
sorry,
with
I'm trying
Shopify's
to
new
go
theme
back a little
foundation
bit.
Horizon. Here's how I did it. First, I chose.
And after this interview, you will see how Tommy managed to hold the largest rally.
So this is an interview with Tommy Robinson. For those of y'all who do not know, he is an activist in the United Kingdom. He would be considered like the leader of like anti-immigration, MAGA type, England for English people type person. He's been to jail on several occasions for speaking up about this. So let's hear what he has
in
to
the United
say.
Kingdom history. And now pay close attention to what Tommy says about the UK migrant crisis and comment down below what you think about this issue, because I think some of this information will shock you. What is happening here inside the United Kingdom with the migrant crisis?
The migrant crisis, we're losing our culture, losing our identity, we're being replaced. We feel like, well, we're becoming minorities in most major cities. We're being driven out of our own country, driven out of our own towns. So people are uncomfortable with it, but people have been scared into silence from even having these discussions due to the fear of being branded a racist, losing your job, cancel culture. All these things prevent the public from telling the truth. I come from a town.
Now, a lot of people would say, you know, listening to this, that this is their karma for the slave trade and colonization and whatnot. To which I would say, well, then what did your culture do for it to get their karma? Because let's be clear, you know, before England ever became an empire, there was the slave trade. And African leaders participated in it, captured slaves, sold them. They were selling them over to the Middle East before they ever sold them to Europeans. I know a lot of Latinos like to see stuff like that. I love Latinos. I love African Americans, but I'm here to speak facts. Here to speak facts. A lot of y'all are mixed with the same colonizer blood that y'all talk about. A lot of y'all's countries were colonized. A lot of y'all's countries had slavery too. And a lot of y'all mixed up with all of that. But y'all still get upset about people that are not from your countries moving into your countries and want to call everybody else a colonizer and be mixed with colonizer blood. And let's be very clear, if you studied history, it's not just white people. There have always been empires. There have always been people who conquered other people. I said this before. We could talk about the Mongols. We can talk about the Mayan Empire, the Aztec Empire, the Akkadians, the Aryans, the Roman Empire. This has gone on for centuries on top of centuries on top of centuries. So I don't understand this selective outrage and anger towards modern day white people who really didn't have anything to do with it. Just like y'all didn't have anything to do with none of that other stuff.
It's 30 miles north of London. When I was born in 1982, there was one mosque. There's now 45. Yeah. So and 50% of the town is Pakistani Muslim. So I see the difference. I see the problems from hostility, the culture, the aggression, Islamic domination, all these things. So I've spoke about it, but 15 years ago, people didn't want to listen.
And where are the migrants coming from?
Everywhere. Absolutely.
You know why people didn't want to listen? Because it's kind of like, if it's not in your face and you don't have to deal with it, it's easy to call somebody else a racist, right? For example, in the United States, even like 5 years ago, people were not ready to have a conversation about illegal immigration. I was definitely in support of illegal immigrants. As a matter of fact, I'm still in support of the dreamers that came here as children and grew up here, and they're basically Americans. I'm still in support of them having a path forward to citizenship. Because again, if your parents brought you here at 1 and you grew up here and you're like 35 now, why should you be sent back to a country that you know nothing about? Now, I don't think anybody should be given that privilege and protection moving forward, but I believe in being fair and being reasonable here. Again, even that is a courtesy. But it's just kind of like, even with the situation with illegal immigration in the United States, people didn't care about it until it became their problem. It took Greg Abbott telling the Biden administration and these sanctuary cities, fine, y'all want to have wide open borders, you're going to pay for them. They can't stay here in Texas. We're going to put them on a bus, and make y'all deal with it. And that flipped a lot of Hispanic people. A lot of Hispanic people who previously voted Democrat went red. A lot of Trump was able to close his margins in a lot of areas that were previously heavily Democrat. And it's all because you had to put it in their backyard. Even here in Colombia, I met 3 British lads, and they were very nice young boys. They had just finished university. One was making a documentary. And I was asking him about the situation with the illegal immigration. And he was like, oh, they're just the people who are protesting, complaining. They're just racist. And, you know, these immigrants are making our culture better. And then I asked them what area they were from. And they told me, and I was like, okay, so are there a lot of these immigrants that live in your area and neighborhood? And they all told me no. So it's easy to say that when you don't have to deal with the consequences and repercussions. It becomes a whole nother story when you're having to integrate into a society with people whose basic cultural norms and values are drastically different from yours. And now when you start talking about women's rights, that's when all the atrocities start happening. And as much as people want to call Western men, as much as they're like this gender war between Western men and women, I would not want to live on any other hemisphere. Do y'all understand? Like, I would not want to be in the Middle East. I would not. Okay.
Everywhere. So Afghanistan, Somalia, Eritrea, Pakistan, Iraq, Syria, they all say now they're Iranian. They all have their one to say that they can try and get in. But when we say migrants, they say asylum seekers. They're not asylum seekers. They've gone through.
All empires and nations are built on borrowed times. But like, let's be clear. The empires before us were built off of great pillaging and plunder. So that's just the reality. You have empires that rise and you have empires that fall. And just because one falls, what happens is another one will arise somewhere else, because that is just human nature. When there is a power vacuum, people will grasp for that power. So it's like people have a lot of smoke for the United States and our history. But like when we go and look at the history of their country, or we really dig deep into the atrocities and the civil wars and the great pillaging and plundering that their people did, then they don't want to talk about it. all of a sudden they're Ray Charles to the BS.
16 safe countries. They're safe in France. France isn't at war.
And why do they come here to the United Kingdom?
Because they get a free house. They get given priority above us. They get everything above us. So British people, you can go.
Jamal, you can believe this if you want to. We are moving toward an enlightened multipolar world. No, we're not. Never in the history of humanity has that happened. No, we are not. There are no indicators of that happening in the foreseeable future.
Into this town centre, you'll find English people sleeping rough, homeless on the street. You go to a hotel and you'll see it full of 100 Pakistani men who are getting free phone credit, getting given money every week, and then in a few years they'll bring all their families over as well.
So in the United States, the same thing is happening as well. They're bringing the migrants over, but our border is different. It's a land, and they cross over the United States-Mexico border, and then they get put into hotels, and they get free healthcare, they get free phones.
Y'all know I teach English, right? So I had a student. Well, he wasn't like a long-term student. I only taught him like once. He was an adult. And he was Algerian. And for those of y'all who don't know, Algeria used to be a colony of France. So he moved to France and he was telling me about all of the welfare that he was on. And then I think he would like leave France and cross the border and go work. I forgot which country he told me. He would go work in another country and not report his income in France. But he was basically just in France to take complete advantage of the welfare system there, right? So naturally, people who are from those areas who were like, I can't even get that type of help, they get pissed off.
They get free everything.
It's not a mistake. None of this is a mistake. None of it. Your borders didn't open at the same time of our borders. Every border in Europe opened at the same time. 8 million people come through yours. They talk about them. Literally, they took out Gaddafi. They opened up the floodgates to Europe by taking him out. And the migrants literally go 20 meters off the coast of Libya and they get picked up by NGOs, which are funded by the German government. And then they get brought into Europe. And as they're brought into Europe, they come into our communities. They break down our communities. We're weakened. So and part of it is we're all looking and arguing with each other whilst they're eroding our rights and our freedoms, all of our rights and freedoms. So it lowers the wage, which they like as well.
And so they're literally able to come through on boats here into London or here into the United Kingdom, and they're let here and they're let into society.
Not just boats, they come through on student visas. They come through so many. We let last year 1.2 million legal migrants.
1.2 million.
1.2 million legal migrants.
And this isn't a very big land. Like the United Kingdom is pretty small.
6 million people.
6 million.
60 million. We let in 1.2 million last year. Well, and there's a housing crisis, and prices are going through the roof, and no one can get a property. Young English people can't get on the property ladder, can't get a dentist appointment. People are pulling their own teeth out because they can't get a dentist appointment. So your family have paid into a system for generations after generations after generation. You've lived in the same family. Your family have died to save and protect this country, and then you're put second rate, and they're flooding the country. You're paying.
I've said this before and I've said this again. You know, Democrats and progressives here in the United States, we used to use places like the United Kingdom and, you know, as like in Canada as like the standard for how we should run our healthcare system, that we should have a universal healthcare system. And though I would agree that something needs to be done about the healthcare in the United States, because there's absolutely no reason for medication and doctor's appointments to cost as much as they do. I mean, there's no reason why you should get charged $10,000 just for being seen by a doctor in the ER. That is not the norm anywhere else. They seem to be struggling with their system too. I mean, again, he's saying they're pulling out teeth. Well, that same thing in the United States. If you're poor, you pull out your own teeth, or you try to find some type of charity that will do it for free. Being on wait list for 3 months while your disease progresses, that could be the difference between life and unaliving. So, you know, although I agree something needs to be done about our healthcare system, when you overwhelm the system and when people see they can come get things for free, then it tends to have the opposite effect of what they were trying to do. Maybe the system would work better if they only gave this health care to English people. I don't know.
for it. You're struggling. You can't get a dentist appointment. There's so many problems. You can't even get your kid in a local school because they're all full of all the young Muslim kids that are getting brought in.
So would you say that the English people here in the United Kingdom are being replaced by the migrants?
Get the most out of Instagram. You could have 1 million followers and still not be able to pay your bills. Turn comments.
Not just English people. Every one of our countries, we're being replaced. The whole of Europe, like people talk about the Great Replacement, yeah? And well, like we were saying, they're replacing us. There's a 177-page document from the United Nations on their plan to do this. This is planned, yeah?
And what benefits do the migrants get here once they arrive to the United Kingdom?
They get everything. They get houses. They get 3 meals a day. They get money. When I say they get 3 meals a day, you have got English old age pensioners who can't afford to turn their heating on. These lot are staying in 4-star hotels. You've got English people.
Wasn't that what was going on in New York? And my girl Sheba came on the live that I did about this yesterday, and she lives in New York, and she was confirming that. Nick Shirley went on the ground in New York asking these migrants about the welfare that they were getting, and they were telling him, yet you still have liberals denying that even happened. They say we're making it up. Mayor Eric Adams has been on camera on several occasions talking about the vast amounts of welfare and money that New York was spending on these migrants. And you have liberals saying it never happened. Still to this day, they will say it wasn't happening. We're just making this up and being racist. When you cannot go to their countries and get on welfare.
We're dying, starving, all these different things. Living in poverty, and you've got hotels full. I'd say now this country, it's 1,000 years of English history here, 1,000 years. And within 2 or 3 generations, they've absolutely destroyed this nation, and they're giving it away.
Wow. In the United States, we have migrants from all around the world, but mainly Central, South America. We get a few from Middle East. What countries are coming in to Europe?
So your migration, I always look to your migration when people moan about Mexicans and think you have no idea here. When you get Middle Eastern, when you get Pakistani, when you get Syrian, when you get Somalian, you are going to have a shock, America, yeah? Because you think there's...
I would agree with that. And like I said, I didn't care about illegal immigration for the longest because A, I grew up in a liberal city, and B, Mexican people, it's not that big of a culture shock. Like, you got to understand, like, they still tend to have more, like, I guess you would say, like liberal ideas, even though Mexico is very conservative, but like culturally, like if you compare the cultural differences between a Texan and a Mexican, they're not that far off, right? In terms of women's rights, in terms of social norms and customs. Yes, some things are different, but like not that much to where you're like, oh my God, I woke up in a completely different world, versus like the English culture and religion. Because that's another thing when you're dealing with Mexicans and Texans, well, you're just mixing, Catholics and Christians together. It's not that far off, versus when you're dealing with English people and Middle Eastern people, now you're dealing with Islam and Christianity and the differences that come with those cultures, and like the differences in like women's rights. These are cultures that believe in honor unalivings of their daughters. Like nowhere in the history of Christianity that ever exists.
Problem from the Mexicans. You have no idea. The hostility, the rapes. The biggest problem in this country is they've literally an invading army's coming to this country and raping their way through it. They're raping their way through it. Our daughters are being raped. 2.5% of this country is Muslim men. 2.5%. They're responsible for 90% of the convictions of groups.
90%. So you have 2.5% of the population who is responsible for 90% of the rapings of women and children on this small island. And this man is supposed to shut up? This man is racist? No, that is the job of men. Men are supposed to stand up and speak up for women and children. And you have this man doing his duty, and you have folks calling him a racist. That is something that that is a cultural problem. Do you understand when you have people who don't even believe that women should be educated, intermixing into a society where the women are educated? What type of attitudes and resentment do you think that those men are going to hold? Furthermore, I've talked about this before on my channel. We've talked about the fact that like men have a biological need to release. So you're putting these young military age men on boats in a country where selling the gata, the cat, is not legal. So they can't really go to brothels and release. And even then, the girls at the brothels, even if they can say yes or no. So now you put these men in a situation where if they want to have sexual access to a woman, they actually have to be good people and respect the women. Oh, they're not used to that. They say, bump this, I'm just going to take what I want. They're not used to that. I said that the same with these people coming from these poorer countries and coming to the United States, flooding it these last 4 years. The rape rates went up in places like New York and a lot of these places where these migrants went. Because a lot of those men are not used to going long periods of times without having some access to a woman. Here in Colombia, they can pay a girl $10. They can pay a girl $10 to $20 if they can't even give a crack. So what do you think is going to happen? And then you have all of these liberal women that don't understand basic human nature encouraging the BS.
Men, young children, and 30% of the men convicted are called Mohammed. Like, it doesn't work. And it's like mixing oil and water. It's not going to work. It doesn't work. Yeah, they're reliant on the state. They're not working. They're all on benefits.
Come on.
And these problems, as soon as you try and talk about these problems.
Again, this is not me trying to demonize all Muslims, but you're dealing with a different situation over there. You're dealing with a different situation over there. We're not dealing with boatloads and boatloads of Muslim immigrants bombarding us here in the United States. Most of these Muslim immigrants are going through a stricter vetting process. Do you understand? It's not the same situation. So yeah, they're going to have more time to assimilate. But I can also pull up case upon case upon case. There was just in Minnesota, a Somali man got the 12-year-old girl next door, raped her, and then an immigration rights activist wrote a letter on his behalf saying, oh, he's a good man. He was just trying to adjust to the culture. What? He beat this girl dang near to death and raped her, and we're supposed to have sympathy for him? Are you crazy? Oh, Toronto is being bombarded. Trust me. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's different situations. And again, and I'm all for legal immigration, but like it can't be to the point where the people who are coming new and incoming don't have time to assimilate and that we have absolutely no vetting process. And then you have people who feel like, here's the problem. And this is not all people in Islam or Muslim, but I've heard, even in Dallas, I've heard a lot of Muslim people say, see, the problem with Christianity is y'all change y'all's code, y'all standards to fit with the time. And us Muslims, our viewpoints don't change with the times. Like basically saying we stand on business about the word. And it's like, yeah, okay. When you have a mentality like that, where you're not willing to budge to fit cultural norms, are you ever going to assimilate? And again, as a woman, that is concerning. That's very concerning. I will deal with the most misogynistic Western men before I deal with that.
Or highlight these problems as an Englishman, or especially as a straight white male, they come down you like a ton of bricks. And the government, because these are all down to government failures in policy, yeah? So they don't want you talking about the problems or addressing the problems and warning about the problems of what open border mass immigration brings, especially from Islamic nations.
Would you say people are scared to walk around these streets here with all the migrants that are coming in?
Yeah, there's no-go areas across this country where women would be scared. I'll tell you what, go dress a young girl up and walk her through the town. Go dress a young girl up, an attractive girl, and tell her to walk through a Muslim area. See what happens. So what happens? Well, there are daughters and there are towns, yeah. And you've imported these people in, and you've took away the safety of the thing that we hold.
I told y'all in Afghanistan they have harems of little boys. Y'all think I'm lying? I'm gonna bring that up this week. I'm gonna bring the receipts on that. They got harems of 12-year-old and under little boys where that all the men take turns on. That's nowhere in the United States is that considered socially acceptable.
Most precious to us, our families, yeah. And then when we try and talk about it, you want to silence us down. So we've been made to feel ashamed of being British, and all cultures are equal, which they're not, yeah. We are a superior culture. We should celebrate it. Being born English is like winning the lottery of life, yeah. We're the best country in the world, the best.
People get upset. People get upset and they'll say that that's white supremacy when he says we're a superior culture. But like I'm thinking of American culture, right? And I'm comparing it to what he's describing that he's dealing with. And I'm like, yeah, when I think about American culture and I think about living in a culture where women don't have access to education, or like I can't even walk around, I can't even put my daughter's hair in a cute hairstyle because I'd be like afraid of a grown man noticing her and like raping her and nothing being done about it. Yeah, I'm gonna say that American culture is superior. Absolutely. 1000%. When it's not even close. Yeah. Call it what you want to call it.
In the world, and we want to celebrate it.
Do you think the presidents of all these countries are in on this together? And you think Donald Trump is going to interrupt this establishment that they're trying to create?
I don't think they are. We know they are. We know they are. There's an agenda. Now, I think Donald Trump, the reason why they've just tried to...
Podemos finalizamos.
Podemos finalizar.
Was because he's going to get in the way. He's going to get in the way of what they do. They want war. They want the war in Ukraine. They don't care that 500,000 Ukrainian men have been killed. They do not care. Yeah, it's money, it's profit. Okay. And I think that if Donald Trump gets elected, we'll have peace again. Certainly bring back peace.
Tomorrow is the rally. It's going to be...
Well, that didn't age well. We know what's going on, and the Ukrainian war is not stopping, no matter what Donald Trump is trying to say or how he's trying to posture towards Russia. Russia's like, no, give me all that ish. Right. And, the funding for that war, the sending the weapons on behalf of the United States, that has continued. And, it has been proven that we are Israel's little b, and we will do their bidding. And it doesn't matter who is in the White House. So, one thing I will say, one benefit I will say is that in terms of the flow of illegal migration into the United States, that has stopped. Right. And I think if you could just make that happen in the UK, then material conditions would improve, tenfold for the people. I feel like if you could just focus on that for them, I think they just need that win. If they could just get that win, then they feel a lot better about the situation. But I mean, they're taking it up the rear left and right over there.
The biggest rally that
it's going to be the largest gathering of patriots that Britain's ever seen. And that is a historic date and a historic moment, because people don't come out in support or celebration of their country. They've been dumbed down and made not to feel not to. So we're going to send the establishment, who will be watching tomorrow, we're going to send them a very powerful message that we're not sitting by silently while you replace us. Mm-hmm. We're not sitting by silently while you keep the borders open, you destroy our security, our stability, and the future of our for our children.
What can we expect to see tomorrow at the rally?
Who knows, man?
And now, before we go to the biggest rally in the United Kingdom history, I need to tell you guys about the sponsor of this video, Tube Magic. I get a lot of messages from you guys watching these videos about how you guys could potentially start your own YouTube channel and how I do what I do. And Tube Magic is actually here to help you guys do it a lot easier, a lot faster than I did. And with the help of AI, Tube Magic does keyword researching, allow you to sort by search volume, competition, and magic score, which automatically finds the best keywords for your videos. And Tube Magic will actually even help you guys generate video ideas for your videos. You can link any channel.
The rally has now began here at Uniting the Kingdom, and now there are thousands, tens of thousands of people here. The time is here and now. How do you feel about all the migrants coming into Great Britain?
I'm not racist at all. Yeah, I don't mind them coming into the country and stuff like that. What I do mind is they're coming from war-torn countries and stuff like that. They're causing significant criminal offences, and the police are letting them get away with it. That is what makes me sickened. My granddad would turn in his grave at
And then if you say this, here's the thing: if you say that, if you say, "Hey, these people are increasing the crime rates," this is like the mindset, the liberal mindset. So what are you trying to say? Are you trying to say all these people are criminals? Are you trying to say all these people are rapists? So we have to like ignore what's going on just for the sake of not seeming racist. You know, I heard Muhammad Ali make an analogy. I'll try to like repeat it. This is not verbatim. But in this case, Muhammad Ali was talking about white people, right? But like, let's just forget race, okay? Like, let's take race out of the equation. Let's just talk about cultural norms and the values that they hold towards women in the Islamic culture, regardless of like race, right? Now, if you know that you have a big group of snakes coming toward you, like they coming towards your door in your house, and let's say 60% of them are non-poisonous and they won't bite you, and the other 40% of them are poisonous and they will bite you, are you going to leave your door to your house open just so the 60% can come in, knowing that the other 40% is coming with them? Is that what you gonna do? Or are you just gonna close your door and say, no. If I want a snake in my house, I'll go to the pet store and try to find a good snake. I can't just let y'all come in like a free-for-all. That would be stupid.
moment. At the end of the day, I don't mind people coming to the country. Britain is a great country. Come to Britain, but flourish. Don't exploit the system. Come here, be happy and everything. You don't have to exploit the system. Britain's a great country. Britain is broken.
How can Britain get fixed?
How can Britain get fixed? Get rid of our government. That's what it needs to do.
Do you think migrants are going to continue coming in until the...
Of course they are, because the government's going to keep allowing it until we have some sort of restrictions on our borders. And now we've got a Labour government. And unfortunately, the Labour government has opened the borders even more than the Conservative Parliament. So unfortunately, there is going to be more immigrants coming over. And I understand why they're leaving their countries, their war-torn countries. But it's all males. It's a bit weird, isn't it? Oh, it's all males coming over. Males on the boats. It's not women, it's not children.
And that is not safe. That is not safe for women and children. When you have a whole bunch of single men who don't have access to a woman coming into the countries by themselves. I'm not here to be politically correct. I'm here to talk about what it is and what it ain't. I remember one time when I was a teacher, I was teaching World War II. So we were watching a movie about World War II. And it was like the end of the school year. And there was a scene in this movie where they were alluding to, the soldiers were alluding to the possibility of raping a woman. Now, they didn't actually do it and it wasn't said, but if you put things into context, you understood that that was a possibility. So I had one of the students ask, are they going to rape her? And I'm like, I said, no, they're not going to do that, in this movie. But I said, but to be honest, that is something that happens during wartime. It's very common. That's why war is not a good thing, you know? So I had two boys that were on the football team. One of them made a comment and he was like, I mean, what you expect for them to do? The other boy was like, yeah, I do the same thing. What you expect for them to do? They gone to war for a long time. And like, do y'all know that not one of the other young men in the class checked them or said, y'all tripping? Everybody was just like, I mean, what we supposed to do? These are 16 and 17-year-olds. And my jaw just dropped. So these are 16 and 17-year-olds who grew up in a good environment, are not from war-torn countries, just young men full of testosterone, trying to empathize and put themselves in a situation. How do you think males that are actually living in that situation, who also come from a country where they don't respect women in their rights, how do y'all think they feel when they are entering into that situation? What do you think they're going to do? Okay. Where are you? I mean, I didn't go look for them. They were at the schoolhouse being raised by their uncles and I don't know. I didn't go looking for them. They were in my vicinity. Where do you be finding these types of guys? I can't imagine any boys in Chicago or Toronto say that openly. They sure did. They sure did. And looked at me crazy for dropping my jaw. I wasn't expecting that.
It's just male.
You guys have a rich history as far as World War I, World War II, and the veterans that fought for your guys' land, and now you guys are being somewhat replaced by a lot of these migrants. A lot of these migrants are coming in, and people are saying they feel like they're being replaced, and the veterans that fought for you guys are on the streets while migrants get put up in hotels. How does that make you feel?
Obviously, we're not happy about it. We've got nothing about migration. We're not against migration. We're about controlling our borders. If I was to go to another country, I would be vetted, and if I'd been in trouble before or had any past history, I wouldn't be allowed in. We're not about anti-immigration, we're about controlling the migration. And if we don't take control of the migration, we're going to be outnumbered in our own country. We will no longer be a Christian country, we'll be controlled by an Islamic movement. That's what is worrying and concerning.
I mean, this is basically, y'all want to talk about colonization and conquerors, and I mean, this is a legal conquering that's going on there.
29 million pounds spent on illegal immigrants in the last 18 months, all aged between 20 and 30.
This is a government funding. Imagine your own government being the ops. This is a government funded conquest against their own people. But here's the thing, rich people in power don't care. Because again, like Tommy Robinson was saying, this is all to rich people's benefit. They care not if the people living in their country are white or Muslim, brown, black, Hindu, Jewish. No, they care about who they're going to be able to exploit. Who's going to drive the wages down? Who's going to reproduce? Who's going to help keep all the other people in line? Because now I'm having y'all starving and competing for low-wage jobs.
Fighting age, no women, no children, put up in 4 or 5-star hotels. But yet there's veterans on our street, homeless, on the street. It's all wrong. It needs to be put right. Government needs to be outed. If we have to issue Article 61 on common law.
Baby, I would be paranoid too. I would be, if I lived in England right now, I would be so, if I was a woman, I would leave. I wouldn't stay there.
Then so be it. We will do it. That's what's happening next if they don't listen. We will not comply.
You believe a civil war is on the rise?
A civil war is inevitable. It will happen if they don't listen. 100%. We're not messing about. Yeah, they need to listen. They need to wake up. The sheeple need to wake up because they're asleep.
You don't see them coming across with their families. It's all military age fighting men that are coming across.
Men know men. Do y'all understand? Every single man that Nick Shirley has talked to has raised the concern that these single men with no families are coming across the English Channel. They raise concern about it here in the United States as well. So a lot of y'all might get upset if you're watching this because I said that en masse, men will grape if they don't have access to a woman. But men know men. You don't see women talking about, because we don't know men like them. The average woman doesn't know anything about the natural and biological processes of a male. So the average woman is like, oh, I want a liberal woman. She's not thinking about that. She's like, oh, we need to be compassionate. We need to help them. Y'all are being racist. And here you got men know men, who were saying, oh, you're coming over. You don't got no woman. You don't have access to sex. You don't? You ain't got no family? You ain't got your, oh, I already know what y'all finna come on over here and be on. Yep, y'all finna be graping all our women and children. It's the men who are raising this concern. People want to get mad at me because I tell the truth.
There are no women and children. They are raping our girls in the street because it's legal from where they come from. That's right. But they're coming over here, they're attacking our girls, our wives, our girlfriends, our daughters on the streets. My partner, she's of mixed race.
Baby, they would have run up on me. You ran up on the wrong one. You ran up on the wrong one. You got to wake up real early in the morning. You think you're going to run up on me. They ain't no one who to do it to.
English and Jamaican. So she's half black, half white. I don't care what color you are, what creed you are. You come to our country, you live by our rules, you follow our laws, and you integrate. They do not want to integrate. They want their own states. They want their own communities.
They're fascists.
That's not what it's about. They are fascists. They are the modern day fascists.
And then it's weird because a lot of people would try to label that Great Britain's are fascists for going against migrants. However, it seems like the migrants.
They will try and put the British. They will try and put the British man down. But at the end of the day, if it weren't for the British man and the Americans when they joined, the rest of the world would be speaking German.
Hello.
Right.
Baby, that's why you could never make me hate the United States. I'm sorry. You can never make me hate my country. I'm sorry. Yes, I left because I can't afford it. It's too expensive, okay? But you could never make me hate the United States. When I think about, like, people could get mad at me when I say this, but, like, when I think about the countries that my ancestors on my mother's side came from, like, when I think about the places, when I think about the other places I could be in the world right now, had it not been for the United States, and this is not a justification of our past, I'm not saying it's right, but when I be like, would I rather be a woman there or in the United States, or even here, like in Colombia, in South America, they're very progressive on women's rights compared to places like the Middle East. Oh, baby, hands down. I'd rather be over here in the Western Hemisphere. Y'all cannot make me hate white folks. I'm sorry, you can't.
If it weren't for the British man and the Americans joining in.
We've realised that through falling away from the church, we've actually lost our identity, and we've allowed other people to come in. There are more churches closing in the UK now at the moment than there are public houses.
And becoming mosques. Our churches are closing and becoming mosques.
So you guys are traditionally a Christian country, but now you guys are being almost flipped to a Muslim country.
Yes, absolutely.
They want Sharia law.
Do you think diversity is killing the Western world?
Yes, absolutely it is.
There are literally over 50,000, potentially upwards of 100,000 people here at this rally.
Wow.
Because they are sick of what is happening here.
Okay, I'm going to go to another video. But again, I feel like diversity can be a beautiful thing. when it is measured. For example, most of us don't have a problem with people from another country coming and opening a restaurant in our neighborhoods, right? Are you sharing positive things about your culture, right? But like when the diversity becomes so extreme that at the core, the values don't align, that is when you have social conflict. And in this situation, the values just are not aligning. This happened in Texas. When I think about the Texas Revolution, part of the reason why, you know, it was a situation where they were like, we just gonna go to war about it, is because y'all know Texas used to be a part of Mexico. The Mexicans wanted the Anglo settlers to convert to Catholicism, and they wanted them to, you know, slavery to be illegal. And it was like there was such a huge cultural difference there. You had Mexico, who at that time they did not believe in slavery. Ever since they had been their own independent nation, did not agree with slavery, and they were Catholic. And then you had the Anglos coming over from the United States, and not just Anglos, German settlers. There were huge German settlers in a huge pockets of German settlement in Texas. But you had them coming, and these people saying, we want to own slaves, and we want to be Christians. And that conflict was just so bad that it couldn't be negotiated. And then eventually they went to war about it. So I could absolutely see this happening in the United Kingdom. Okay, give me 1 second. So we are going to go over to Ed Venture's channel. So he has a video. Hold on, give me 1 second. Let me pull it up. After this, I promise I'll be done, y'all. So the video is entitled, I investigated London Sharia law no-go zones. Imagine you live in a Western European country and there are no-go zones, like kind of like sundown towns. It's crazy.
What's your name?
I name it Laura.
Do you mean my name is Laura?
Yes, perdón.
Well, behind me it seems like there's a bit of a police incident. You can buy an Iranian flag. Doesn't feel like England, does it? Look at this. Islamic Sharia Council of London.
Yes. Sharia
Yes,
Council.
nice to meet you. My name's Ed. Have a good day. Yeah, take care, mate. What have I walked into? Good day, my friend. Thank you. Interesting to see the different sort of laws depending on what part of the city you're in.
Did you know some boroughs of London have been declared Islamic no-go zones? Or
What?
at least that's what people say. In Newham, the white British population is about 14%, making it the most ethnically diverse area in London. In Newham, the majority ethnicity is actually Bangladeshi, not English. Sharia law councils are even set up across London, although it's not exactly what you think.
Sharia law court. How you have Sharia? I'm gonna need to watch the rest of this video, because what do you mean Sharia law councils? Okay.
Today I decided to explore London's so-called no-go zones for myself to see, is Sharia law really being implemented here? And is it true that it's dangerous? Will I be welcome as a white person? Join me as we find firsthand the truth.
Good morning, everyone, from London. Today we're in Leighton, and something caught my eye here. Allegedly, in London, there's over 85 Sharia law councils in the entire city, and it's growing day by day, or that's what the media likes to say at least. Today we're going to find out if that's actually true. It's kind of mad when you see the headlines, right? Like Sharia law in the UK, that sounds like a right-wing tabloid thing. Surely that can't be true. And the answer is yes and no. It kind of is true, but it's not what you think. So this is what the research I've done, which I'll tell you about while we're walking there. So it's not legally binding. You can't just enforce Sharia law. Like the UK law still is on top. However, in practice, maybe it's slightly different. It's what I mean by that. In Islamic culture, if you want to get a divorce, and this is the number one reason why women use these Sharia law councils more than men, is to get divorced from their husband, right? But in order to do that, you have to go through not only civil law, but you have to go through a religious court as well. And that's the primary reason of these Sharia.
Why I gotta go through a religious court when I'm not in a country that even acknowledges it? So something is wrong, because these women shouldn't even feel like they have to do that. I want to get a divorce and the UK law says I should get a divorce. Who are you for me to be answering to you?
Your laws, courts in the UK. There's a few other bits and bobs that it does do as well. And whether the conspiracies are true, whether they're enforcing Islamic law or not, I don't know. But at least if you're a Muslim,
because there has to be, we'll watch the rest of the video, but in order for these women to feel like they even need to acknowledge these councils, these women have to feel like there's some level of enforcement for not going through them, or else why would you go through them?
and you're going there, this is what you do. This is what you do. It's totally voluntary. They're not necessarily forcing it. I was reading some of the reviews of this place as well, and it's absolutely, well, I wouldn't even say if it's hilarious or depressing or what, but someone called Sabah Amin has basically gone, do not waste your money and your time there, and goes for a big old paragraph. I'll put it on the screen for you guys just so you can see it. And the guy's replied, and maybe not in the most professional way. He said, Sabah, you were the only volunteer who was incapable of turning on a computer, and then basically went to insult her for ages. Like, what the hell? Is this official? Is this not official? I have no idea, but clearly it's down this road. It's got to be, by the looks of it, some guy's house. But which house is it? I mean, it doesn't exactly stick out. This is really beautiful as well. You've got a lovely Gurdwara for the Sikh people here. You've got the Sikh symbol up there. But across the road, and this is what catches your eye, or should I say it doesn't catch your eyes, the Islamic Sharia Council of London. And it's not the only one. Apparently there's 85 of them. But yeah, there you can see it in the flesh. It is pretty much just some guy's house. But it is just weird to see the rumours and that it is actually a true thing. For better or worse, you tell me. I would have absolutely loved to go in there and just see what it's like, what the ins and outs are, because I'm pretty naive. No truth. I asked him, I did email, I've asked for a statement, he hasn't gotten back to me first. I said, can I have a statement about what's going on, what the ins and outs are, and could I put
operating within social norms. Hold on. I think my internet's tripping. People who know that they're operating within acceptable social norms, they're not going to be in hiding about what they're doing, or like, oh, we don't want to answer questions. Like, yeah, I'd love to share these amazing things about our culture. Okay, it's when you know that you're doing the fool, or that people are going to be judging what y'all have going on. That's when you don't want to answer emails and talk to nobody. Kind of like how y'all know how people used to go to like businesses like Monsanto and try to get interviews with the CEO, and they're like, we're not showing up. We don't want to talk to you. Nice, very down-to-earth looking neighborhood. Sharia Council. Yeah, I'm like, what the heck? That is very jarring to see.
possibly you go in and have a little look?
I've never seen that in Dallas, and we have Muslims. I've never seen anything like that.
Had a single reply.
I've seen mosque, but I've never seen like anything with Sharia, like anything like that.
If there is a statement, I'll put it up now. If there isn't a statement, I just got aired basically, then you'll see nothing, and we'll move on to Brick Lane. In that case, we're going to Bangla Road now, as they call it, or Brick Lane. It's the largest Bangladeshi population in the entirety of the UK. The main language there is Bengali, not English, and it'll be very interesting to see what life is like there, as well as London's biggest mosque and a few other bits and bobs that I can't wait to show you. Let's go to that area and let's check it out. How bad can it be, as they say? Well, you know you're in a safe area when your taxi station has 2 layers of protection. You've got the outer walls and then the inner walls with the metal there and everything. I'm sure it's very safe, very low crime.
My work is easy because I use ClickUp. Here's how I get perfect notes from every meeting. I click this toggle to send.
Train station toilets in the UK. Absolutely bloody minging. I don't even know if I'm going to use it.
That's gross. Like the bathrooms that are like the train station in Colombia here does not even look that bad. Like, it's way cleaner than this. It's way cleaner. You don't see all this graffiti on the walls. And this is in Medellin, Colombia. This is the United Kingdom, and the train station looks like this.
Well, behind me it seems like there's a bit of a police incident. I can't see any police officers or anybody, but there's something going on down there. We're in Whitechapel. We're going to check it out, see what there is there. It's super busy here. Look at this. So many people. All sorts going on here. There's a shop, a market, a little bit of everything. Let's go and check it out. It does remind me of the Ezra Road Market. Semi gives me PTSD. But yeah, you can buy pretty much everything there. It's the same story in like so many different markets, local clothing, all of that good stuff as well. And occasionally you will find actual good food stands, which will do like the most insane food you've ever had, right? Look at these. You've got like falafel stands, gyros wraps, a bit of everything, falafels. Yeah, so much high energy here. I like it. I like it. There's even a shawarma. Syrian shawarma as well. Now, if you know anything about food,
Knowing me, I'd stop and get something to eat. I'm not even gonna lie. I would get me a plate.
you know, Middle Eastern food's basically the best food on the planet, and that's the one for good.
Yeah, they can't cook. I will say that. They can cook real good.
thing about London is there's so many different food here. You can try pretty much any country's food on the planet Earth, which is pretty cool.
I want to say this
Check
too.
it out over here. You've got sweets as well. There's all sorts like samosas, Punjabi samosas by the look of it.
Oh yeah, that looks good. I'm not even gonna lie. And that's one thing I will say. Again, I've never had any issue with the Muslims that live in Dallas. We don't have this situation that's going on in the UK. For the most part, they know that like certain things are just acceptable and not acceptable. And yeah. And I do frequent when I am in the United States, I do frequent their food dining establishments. I do. It's fine dining.
All sorts of sweets. Hello, mate. You're right. Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. All sorts. I think there's more. I think this entire row of shops actually is sort of like Bangladeshi sweet shops. Now I think than once before when we were in. The ingredients are slightly different, but it's very interesting. You've got sort of Bengali, I believe they speak. I'm not entirely sure. I'm pretty sure they speak Bengali. And you've got the writing of their language on top of English. So yeah, it's pretty cool. There's even durians here as well, actually. I believe they're durians. Haven't seen them since Thailand.
Durian fruit is like the smelliest fruit ever, but they make really good cakes and cookies out of them.
Let's carry on this way. I think there's more of the market that goes back the other way as well. So yeah, it's a big old market, literally just along the street here. It's pretty cool. And as I say, it's kind of similar to the Ezra Road one, but yeah, lots of colourful clothing. Very nice.
Could see. Okay, I'm not gonna lie. So this market, though, somebody like me would probably visit to get food and probably food only. I could see how somebody who was not used to street vending would see this as an eyesore and not like it. For example, in New York, they are very used to street vending. That's like a normal thing. That is not a normal thing where I'm from in Texas. We don't have a culture of street vending there. Part of the reason why we don't have a culture of street vending is because of zoning laws. And because things are like very far, so they're not even within walking distance for people to be, you know, stopping at street vendors anyway. So like Texas people would have a problem with this, a really big problem with this. Even here, how I live in Colombia. So like, for example, in Colombia, it's normal to have an apartment sitting right over like a restaurant or a bodega. And that's not something that you really see in Texas. So I actually can understand why that is a big culture shock to people who are not used to that. You understand? And again, these tents are not the prettiest. They're not doing anything to beautify the neighborhood.
I like it a lot. You even get your keys done. Hello, sir. How are you? You good? I like your shop.
You want key?
Sorry, I don't need a key, yes, but I'm just filming the markets.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Nice to meet you, my
Yeah,
friend.
yeah,
Have a good day, my friend.
Yeah,
Bye-bye. See, friendly people here. London isn't all bad. There is friendly people here. Let's check it out. I do stick out a little bit here, though, don't I? People are staring at me, wondering why some random, like, Aryan dude walking around with a camera. But it's for good reason. Because, to be honest, I'm probably going to get a falafel for lunch. Because I just found a Monster on the train over here, and Monsters just, I don't know if this happens to you guys, but like coffees, teas, Monsters, it just makes me like bloody hungry. So I might try and get a shawarma in a minute. Not really Bangladeshi though, is it? So maybe I'm just not being cultured. It's really happening here. It's a Wednesday, by the way, for the date of recording this. It's not hot, it's not cold. We've just come out of the heat wave. So I think everyone's decided to come out and go and get like shawarmas and clothes.
Yeah, that doesn't look like my idea of what London would be. And again, we have areas like this that are like ethnic neighborhoods in Dallas. I don't necessarily have a problem with that. I don't think that majority of people in England have a problem with that. It's probably more so the wage suppression than anything. Like, if you're going to come over here, then work for a livable wage. Don't come over here and undercut me. But here's the thing. This is another thing I don't like. You have people who will come from war-torn countries or countries where the value of their currency is less than the United States, and they will come work for slave wages and then tell Americans, y'all are just lazy. Like, they'll say, we're just lazy because we don't want to work for slave wages. And it's like, the math is not mathing for what you're willing to, like, you're not willing to work for what the work is valued at. And you're willing to trade hours of your life for slave wages. And that's honestly stupid, but we are lazy. So y'all know I used to work in the clubs, right? And I make no secret of this. I used to work in the dancer club. I don't know what I can say on YouTube, right? And there used to be a time where you could go in there, you could look pretty, and if you didn't want to do anything extra, you just want to be cute, you want to talk to guys, and you want to dance, they were going to pay money. You don't have to sell the cootie cat. You don't have to. The girls who did that was because they wanted Gucci, Dior, and to have an apartment in downtown. And then you had a lot of girls who were like, I'm paying my way school, or I'm home with my so yeah, you had a lot of girls that didn't do that. But what happened, especially this heavily increased during the Biden-Harris administration, you had a lot of girls who were coming from Latin America, Cuba, and countries where it's nothing as a woman for you to sell your cootie cat for $10 or $25. They don't even place any value on it. It's nothing. It's like selling Skittles, right? And now you have girls who are trying to come to work and they're used to men paying for $25 for a dance. This girl is willing to give sloppy toppy for $10, and it's nothing to her. So eventually, that drove a lot of the girls who didn't want to participate in that type of behavior outside of the club. And now the clubs are like straight up brothels. It was a race to the bottom. It's desperate because these girls have the mentality of, y'all are just being lazy. And like, they do the math like this. If I can give sloppy toppy for $10 to 10 guys, that's $100. This is how they think of it. Crazy, ain't it? But we are expected to try to compete with that. And I don't want to compete with that. Like, I don't ever want it to be that bad or that serious. Like, that's destitution. But to you, that's a normal way of life and way of being. And I think that's more of the real issue here. That, and then on top of the safety concerns for the women and children. But I think if like you could X out the wage competition and the wage suppression, and if you could X out the things that are going on with crime, most people wouldn't even care about this. Because like I said, it's not like these cultures don't bring certain things that are positive to a neighborhood.
Keys, stuff like that. So yeah, I can understand why it's kind of busy here, but this is like crowded compared to Leighton. I know.
What do you mean that sounds extreme? That's not extreme at all. You think I'm playing? I worked with these girls in Texas, baby. Not just that. Come to Colombia and ask the Colombian men. Forget what the American men are paying. Ask the Colombian men what they pay these girls to sleep with them. That's why they like dealing with American men. And this is not all Colombian women. I'm talking about the working girls. That's why they like dealing with American men. At least an American man will get him $50, $100. A Colombian man will pay them like 75 mil pesos. I don't even think that's 20 US dollars. To do everything. 75 mil pesos, get at Toppy, enter all that. Yeah, 75, $20. $20. You can't even buy a crackhead for that in the United States.
Leighton's quite out of it, but here, very, very busy. Look at that. Just like keeps going forever. This is even like bracelets and stuff. I don't know anything about any of this, but it does look very, very beautiful, isn't it? Hello, mates. How are you? You good? It's a very beautiful shop.
Yeah.
Very beautiful.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah. It's not to speak properly, but
Yeah, no, it's good.
okay.
Everyone come to this man, buy from this man.
Cheers, yeah.
What is your name?
Yes.
Yes, nice to meet you. My name's Ed. Have a good day. Yeah, take care, mate. Bloody hell, guys, it just keeps going and going. You even fish here, but I like that there's no sort of orderly, the fish is here, the meat's there. It's just sort of.
Okay. So I've seen everything I need to see with that. I'll touch on this topic again another day, but y'all tell me what y'all think. I mean, do y'all think that the people in the UK are tripping and that they're just being racist and that, you know, there's not a problem? Do y'all think that their government should do something about it? Also, let me know what y'all think, y'all's thoughts and opinions about the situation that's going on in the Texas legislature with the Republicans' attempt to gerrymander and the Texas Democrats fleeing the state to go on vacation in Illinois. Do you feel bad that Jasmine Crocket might potentially lose her seat? Do you think that it serves her right? I mean, I want to know. Let's discuss in the comment section. With that said, please make sure that you hit the like button on your way out and share my live if you care. Also, right now, I am doing, for those of y'all who are interested in moving out of the United States or doing a long sabbatical out of the United States, and you don't know where to get started, go to my website, ThePassportSis.com. I am doing our consultation. You get a whole hour for $50. We sit down, we go through your situation, we develop a plan. Honestly and truly, I was a teacher in the United States. If I could do it, anybody can do it. A lot of y'all just don't know where to get started. I'm also offering life coaching at $50. You will book your travel coaching under life coaching as well. So y'all check me out at ThePassportSis.com. With that said, it's been real. I will see y'all back here tomorrow. Thank y'all for everybody who pulled up. Goodbye.